Every year, poachers reportedly kill tens of thousands of African elephants. The magnificent animals are killed for their tusks. To discourage ivory trade and to mark World Wildlife Day in Kenya, 15 tons of confiscated elephant tusks were burned to cinders. And setting the giant bonfire, President Kenyatta was dramatically showing that in order to save the elephants, his country is willing to destroy all illegal ivory. Well, Kathleen Garrigan is with the Africa Wildlife Foundation. Welcome to Arise Review.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Do bonfires like this actually help reduce poaching, or do they just drive up the price of ivory, making it even more lucrative trade?
I think the price of ivory does well on its own, being driven up. I mean, it's being driven largely by growing affluence in Asia, more people having disposable income, and ivory, as we know, is a coveted product, and more people are able to buy it. So that's really driving up the price of ivory. With regard to reducing poaching, certainly it's a very dramatic public statement by the Kenyan government, and it's certainly to be commended. But it alone, just destroying ivory alone, will not end the battle on the front lines. It will not reduce poaching on its own. It needs to be followed up with a suite of commitments, both externally and internally, to combat wildlife crime.
Indeed, it would be. I guess the other question is, I mean, this is probably a rhetorical question, but what is driving the illegal market?
It's really demand in prominent ivory markets. I mean, China, for sure, is the largest ivory market in the world. There, for centuries, ivory has been a coveted product. It's conveys a sense of status and luxury, and as affluence in that country grows, and in other countries as it grows, more and more people are able to buy these products. And so as they fly off the shelves, so goes the market for ivory. It continues to go up.
Maybe there needs to be a little bit more education here. Studies show that many Chinese have a lot of wrong information about tusks. For example, some 70% think that tusks are like fingernails and just regrow.
I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of misinformation out there. We and our partners did some surveys a couple of years back and found exactly that. People were not associating the ivory bangle or the beautiful ivory carving that they wanted or intended to buy with a dead elephant, with a poached elephant. Many people thought it was a tooth and it fell out and the elephant continued on and the ivory just went to the market. But increasingly, over the years, we've had a number of public awareness campaigns with our partner WildAid and Save the Elephants. And with the help of a lot of celebrities like Yao Ming and Li Bingbing, and slowly we're starting to see that change. Recent surveys suggest that people are more aware of the elephant poaching problem in Africa and are connecting it, linking it with ivory trade and demand for ivory in their country and in others.
And look, we'll also be talking about the elephants themselves here. They seem to be pretty similar to humans in many ways. For example, they feel grief. They say even pigs also have that same kind of intelligence to a certain degree here. We could talk a lot about that, but let's talk about the fight against these poachers here. Now, we understand the poachers are using helicopters and AK-47s, which means there's a lot of money involved with this ivory collecting here. The question is, Kathleen, are the poachers better equipped than the game wardens?
I think, yes, better equipped and outmanned. I mean, our game rangers are doing a wonderful job. They are on the front lines of this war. But essentially they are under-supported, under-equipped, undermanned, and you do have well-financed, well-coordinated poachers operating. But you also, it's a highly militarized operation. But you also have, on the other end of the spectrum, poachers just using spears and just using very low-tech weapons. So everyone's really in on this game because of how lucrative it is and how low risk it is, even when you get caught.
Yeah, and you're wondering also, Kathleen, about the Kenyan government, because only 5% of poachers are prosecuted in Kenya. And of course, we're talking about 35,000 elephants are killed in about a year. That's a staggering number. I mean, anything that can be done about this?
Yeah, I think, and you point to a good point. I mean, it's not enough really to just light a fire and destroy ivory. That really has to be followed up with a stronger law enforcement commitment. And it really can't just be about going after poachers. I mean, certainly that's one part of it. But we really need to see the political will behind, Kenya's government, Tanzania's government, China's government, the U.S. government, to really go after the middlemen and the kingpins, the ones that are well protected, because really when you take them out of the chain, it has a cascade effect all the way down to the bottom where the poachers are, because You can take one poacher out of the field, but there's, many more behind him willing to take his place.
Right, of course.
So really,
yeah, the photographs are indeed horrifying. I hope, and a lot of people hope that something has been done. Kathleen Garrigan, thank you for being in the forefront of this.
thank you very much for having me.
Okay, you're welcome. It could be the biggest boxing match in decades, thank goodness. Andrew Rosario's Sports Review is coming up next. Stay with us.